something happens, she has an accident, and she just completely forgets what happened after that. Like, she doesn't remember the summer, and she doesn't remember what happened. And so 2 years after that, she goes back to the island with her family and tries to figure out what happened that summer. And you don't really understand the plot until the very end. And this book is such a good read. It is so easy to read. I really loved how it was written. Like the language that was used. But the end, guys, I'm obviously not gonna spoil you, but the end, it completely, like, it messed with me. I had to put the book away for like a day or so before reading the last few pages because it was intense. So the book, like, it's such a good book, but the end, I have to say, it did mess with me a little bit, but in a good way, because I do love twists. But it's not for the faint of heart. Let me just say that. I can totally recommend this book, though. It's such a good read, and yeah, if you like shocking endings, definitely this is for you. And this is just a one novel. There's no sequel or anything like that. But yeah, just be warned. Maybe it won't affect you as much as it affected me. But it's just, I really had no idea it was gonna end like that. Usually when I watch a movie, when I watch a show, when I read a book, I can kind of tell like where the story is gonna go, but like I had no idea. So if you like that stuff, definitely recommend. And then I just finished this book, and both of these books I think I talked about in my book haul video. I'm gonna link that down below too. So this book is called Siege and Storm, and it is the second part of the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So I can't really tell you much about the plot, because obviously this is the second part. But if you have not watched Shadow and Bone yet, go ahead and watch it. If you like fantasy, if you like dystopia, if you liked the Hunger Games, what else is like comparable? Like Game of Thrones, but not really, but like kind of. If you like that kind of stuff, like definitely check out Shadow and Bone. I mean, you can read the book obviously too. I didn't read the first book, I just watched the show, and I just could not wait for the second season to come out, which will come out by the end of this year. I believe I'm gonna be the first person to watch. But I read this book on one weekend. It was so good. I could not put it down. I didn't like the ending too much without like going into it. I kind of didn't like the way that things ended, and also in the book that was the first chapter of the third book. We're gonna see, the third book is supposed to be even better, and I know that some people didn't like this book, but I liked the new characters in this book. Like, the only thing I didn't like so much was the ending, but I'm a bit biased, okay, and I can't really tell you why, but I want the main character to be with another character, and I know that probably no one else ships them as much as I do, and it's probably not good, but it's so hard to talk about it because it's a sequel. But yeah, go watch Shadow and Bone. It's basically like the author created this whole universe, which consists of like humans and then Greek Grisha, and the Grisha basically have magical powers, and the humans are humans. And they're called the First and the Second Army, and there's a war, and the country is split into two, and it's about this girl, Alina, who thinks that she's just like a normal girl, and then figures out that she's a very powerful Grisha. And it's about love, it's about friendship, it's about power, like all the good stuff. Like, just, it's so hard to explain, I feel like, and I think that when it's hard to explain, that's especially when it's good, you know. So it's on Netflix, Shadow and Bone. Check it out. And then if you are like me and you cannot wait for the second season, then check this book out. Like, I really liked it. I have to say, I really like this book, so I can recommend. So these are the only two books that I read. So let's get into my watch list. I have it on my phone. Okay. Okay, so I basically just watched more or less reality TV, because it just like goes in phases, and I haven't really been into a specific series or whatever besides reality TV, with a few exceptions. So the first series that I watched is Too Hot to Handle. If you guys don't know what Too Hot to Handle is, it's a reality TV show that is about like this group of really attractive men and women, and they come to this like island thinking they're gonna have a good time, and they're gonna make moves on each other. I'm wording this carefully because of YouTube. And then there's this cone called Lana, this robot, Love is Blind is about a group of men and a group of women, but instead, like, it's not like in Too Hot to Handle where they live. So in Too Hot to Handle, they literally live in like one house together. So there's a house for the guys and a house for the girls, and they never see each other. They only get to talk to each other through bots. So there's a wall in between them. So they basically start dating each other blindly, and at the end of the dating experience, which is I think like 10 days, they get to, if they fall in love, they get to propose. Like the guys get to propose, or I guess the girls could propose too. Anyways, they can get engaged if they fell in love, but they are not allowed to see each other before they are engaged. So they get engaged, and that's when they get to see each other for the first time. And it's basically like this concept of like falling in love without having any preconceived notions, and without being like just opening up yourself emotionally and forming an emotional connection. So basically the opposite of Too Hot to Handle, but not really, but kind of, because in Too Hot to Handle, there's definitely a lot of attraction going on, but in Love is Blind, it's more about like the emotional connection. And then when they get engaged, they get to see each other for the first time, which is always like really exciting. And then they go on like this holiday thing, like not honeymoon, but like they get to go on like vacation where they get to know each other better, and then they go back to real life and meet the families. And by the end of all of this, I think it's like a 1 to 2 month process. They are at the altar, which is pretty crazy. There's a German equivalent, but in the German equivalent, they didn't get engaged or married, because I feel like it's such a US thing to do that, just because it's so crazy. But I'm like low-key living for it. It's so cool. Yeah, so then they are at the altar, and they either say yes and get married, or they say no. And like oftentimes it really surprises you who gets married and who doesn't. But I'm sure you guys already know both shows, because if you don't, then where have you been? Like, I feel like everybody knows Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle. Alright, the next show, I kind of briefly touched on it in my last Whisper Ramble, is Euphoria. Euphoria. So, Euphoria is also a show that has been hyped up so much lately. And I understand the hype because I watched it in 2 or 3 days. I got a 7-day free trial, not on HBO, but like the German website where you can watch it. And then I was like, I don't know if I can actually manage to watch it within those 7 days, but I did. I managed to watch it within the 7 days, so that's cool. So Euphoria, it's basically like a teenage show where there's like a bunch of teenagers, and it's about their lives and their problems, but the style of Euphoria is very different from conventional teen movies. First of all, it's a lot darker and a lot more realistic, I would say, which is kind of scary, because it like, you know, how would you say that? There's things like drug abuse and like just like a bunch of stuff. I can't really put it into words, but like I feel like it is a very realistic show. Of course, some of the stuff is like exaggerated and some of the stuff is not realistic, but yeah, I don't know how to explain it. The characters, they seem very realistic to me. The actors are doing a fantastic job. watched like 2 or 3 episodes in a row. It took me a while after finishing the episodes to kind of get back to reality and get back to myself, because it's so realistic. Like, it draws you in. It really draws you in, and I would go as far as to say this show is art. Because I feel like there's like entertaining shows like Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle, and there's like shows and movies that are art, and this show to me is art. So proceed with caution, but like, it's such a good show. Like, if you don't have anything to watch and you were wondering should you watch it, go watch it. It's very realistic, but they show a lot of stuff that could be triggering, that could be disturbing. Sometimes I would just skip the parts that I didn't want to see, but like, at the end of the day, I think it's art, and I think it's worth watching, and I would definitely watch a 3rd season. But I would probably, like, what I did is I would watch it during the day, like in the morning or like lunchtime, and then I wouldn't watch it at night before going to bed, so that it wouldn't affect me too much going to sleep. So I would just rather watch ASMR, for example. Okay, the next thing that I just started watching is Queer Eye, but I didn't watch the American version. I watched the German version because it just released like a few days ago. I don't really know how long it's been up. Queer Eye Germany. And actually, I've never watched the Queer Eye, like the American version, before. So it's basically about like 5 people, like queer people, who go to someone's place that has been like not registered, what would be the word? Like signed up for the show, and they give the person like a makeover. Like, they redecorate the house or the apartment. The person gets a new haircut and makeup and stuff like that, and a new clothing style, and they talk about their health, and it's basically, it has a lot to do with like self-love and self-worth, which I completely love to see, and I've cried so many tears. So yeah, I've already cried multiple times throughout the series, because it is just so touching how different the people feel about themselves after just a week of like self-confidence, and it's like very inspiring. And it's not just about like putting on different clothes and like makeup and like whatever, it's more about like an inner feeling. But they like the team that they have for Queer Germany is so sweet, and they're so amazing to watch, and it's just such positive vibes. So I actually just started with that today, and I already watched like 3 episodes because I had a little bit of a me day today. Yesterday I had like a super productive day. Like, I got so much done, and today I just had like a me day. Let's see, then I watched, well, in the beginning of January and like a little bit into February, I think, I rewatched Friends for the 100th time. Guys, I don't think I need to explain to you what Friends is. Like, it is literally one of my favorite shows of all time. And the funny thing is that my brother, he's 6 years younger, and he just discovered Friends. Like, I don't know what season he's at right now, but like, he just discovered it, and Friends literally made my youth, along with Wonder Hill and Lost. Those 3 shows are just gold, and no show will ever be able to replace them. Like, there's a few shows in the last few years that I have to say are really, really good, like Shadow and Bone, Outer Banks, but like Friends, Lost, and Wonder Hill